Star Wars for me has always been very, very important. It's been the story of one person picked out of obscurity, thrown into this magical world, and trying to fulfill their destiny. It's usually a white man, and they're doing that by using the Force, interacting with incredible alien species, and going through a personal journey. We get to learn something about ourselves. We get to experience what it would be like to explore. It's a beautiful, fun hero story. Rogue One is a story about humanity. It's a story about people and what it means to struggle, to fight, to know that death is inevitable, but keep fighting on. Some of the most human and perennial themes that we've ever encountered since humans started telling stories. Rogue One is, simply put, the best Star Wars film ever made. Rogue One is a story of a girl very simply trying to find her father. That girl is Jyn Erso, played incredibly by Felicity Jones, looking for her dad, Galen Erso, played by Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen in this movie is actually the architect of the Death Star. So this film is very important to the Star Wars narrative because we get to find out how the rebels grabbed those Death Star plans. It led to the rising action and complete climax in episode 4, informed everything, a vital, vital story. We follow Felicity Jones as she tries to find her dad. She meets up with other rebels, incredibly played by Forrest Whitaker, Saw Gerrera, kind of a more extremist element in this universe. We have Diego Luna, who's played kind of like James Bond of the sky type of thing. He's done some terrible things, but wants to sort of support the rebellion. A robot humor machine, Alan Tudyk, he comes in very much like just really lacking of any kind of self-confidence, self-deprecating, real funny elements, and of course, the incredible performance by Donnie Yen and Wang Zhang, the two characters that are the guardians of the old Jedi Temple. They're not Jedis, but they respect so much and treat the Jedi teachings and the Force as a religion. It's the first time in a really, really long time that we're able to see the Force in a way that I think it was meant to be. This movie shows the Force as an intricate web that unites us all, but it also represents a feeling of hope. And that hope is brought up again and again by other characters that are trying to give some light and humanity into what they're fighting. So Donnie Yen and his character, who is blind and uses the Force to interact, he understands the futility of what it means to fight. He represents kind of the old order of what the Force used to be and the Jedis that followed it. But he takes that concept and brings literally hope into the lives of characters like Felicity Jones and Diego Luna, who have done terrible things in support of this concept of freedom. So that humanity, that interconnectivity that I really think the Force meant is something we didn't get in a long, long time in movies. Throughout the movie, we have Felicity Jones when they're about to storm kind of the final battle of this film with other disenfranchised soldiers. They're about to storm this beach, and she just kind of looks at them and smiles and says, "May the Force be with you," because now it means hope. And this concept of hope, this motif of using the Force to bring us together, also speaks to, I think, the main theme of this movie. It speaks to the notion of survival. It speaks to the notion of what it means to resist. The Force allows these characters and informs them to have that very, very human emotion of fighting against oppressors. Very early on in the movie, Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones's character, meets up again with Saw Gerrera. That confrontation, that interaction really shows you what a person can deal with when they've lost everything. We haven't seen this in Star Wars. What a human being has to revert to. Saw Gerrera and his rebels are using terrorist tactics. They're using suicide bombs to try and fight, to try and grab anything. And in that final moment, when he nearly loses anything, the only way he's able to have any sort of strength is by having that love of Felicity Jones, relying on others to push yourself through. It's an incredibly human and powerful theme that we see Star Wars fumble with sometimes, but that one moment early on in the film pushes each character to do more. We see it as each of these characters start to realize the Empire has won. We need to fight against this, which means we're probably going to die. That acceptance of death, that inevitability that this is the end, allows these characters to show a truth, a beautiful truth that usually is relegated for art house films. This isn't what you see in big budget pictures when you know nearly everyone could face their demise. So we see these characters rely on each other and use these greater themes of love and dedication and devotion and hope to strengthen their resolve. But we also see how bleak it could be. Multiple times in the movie, we have instances where Felicity Jones will do what she can to save some villagers, only moments later to have them obliterated. And you see that effect on the characters and subsequently on the audience. As the story keeps going through its motions, we feel so much for these characters because their struggle is a human one. Luke Skywalker's struggle, I don't think, was necessarily a very human struggle. The kids that are playing around in episode 7, I don't think their struggle was a very human one. It's a nice story. It's a kid's story. But this is Saving Private Ryan. This is what it meant to face the Nazis. This is what it meant to look at the person beside you and know you're fighting for them because both of you have nothing. They introduce these themes so often in the movie and complete the circle. Nothing in this movie isn't earned. When they introduce a character and what they lost, it motivates them to do what they do. When they show that character die, you feel the impact, not because, oh, isn't it sad they're dead, because we know they had nothing else to live for. And they say it many times in the movie through the use of motif. Felicity Jones says it. The most dangerous person is a man with a sharp stick and nothing left to lose. That is something we have not seen explored in Star Wars before. We've seen people having to fight against oppressors and how tough it is. We haven't seen the rebels have to do criminal things for their own rights. That is such a complex and human idea. Again, this all ties back into the concepts of hope and survival and struggle and what it means to face the oblivion. Rogue One does this every single scene, every character. When their eventual demise, when the characters that do, again, no spoilers, are affected by this and are lost, it's earned. And it affects us, again, not because it's cool and fun and isn't that sad, but because they're us. They represent our own humanity. So fundamentally, you can look at a movie like this and compartmentalize it. The graphics and the visual fidelity is incredible. It's dark, it's blocky, it's not aquiline like the episodes 1, 2, and 3. It feels real and clunky, and when things explode, they explode because they're machines. Things look better, it's not as washed out or magical. This is real life. People are grungy. It's better written. The dialogue flows so much better. It's paced better. There's more moments that are more special, and it's just a better made movie than what we've seen in Star Wars. But that won't matter, because this is a type of movie where you don't need to do that. I didn't think I'd say that. This is a Star Wars movie where you don't need to care about the graphics or about the visual fidelity. This is a Star Wars movie when you're so affected by the story and what it says to you, it makes Episode 7 look like kids playing with Play-Doh. This is beautiful. This is art. Rogue One will make you a better person if you watch it. I've never seen a Star Wars movie like this. It's one of the most incredible theater-going experiences I've had this year. It does rest on the back of the great foundation of Star Wars films that have built it up. But this is for people that now want more out of Star Wars.